Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies as we continue with part 3, The End of an Age, from A Rosicrucian Speaks by Joseph J. Weed. The End of an Age, New York, March 1948. About 12 years ago, we are told of the passing of our planet from the Piscean to the Aquarian Age. At the time, certain definite dates were given, and to the unthinking, we are therefore manifesting all activity today under Aquarian influence, with the Piscean forgotten. This is not so, for in nature all changes are gradual, nothing is abrupt. While these great cycles last about 2,000 years, the influence of the passing cycle, in this case the Piscean, began to wane more than 200 years ago when the first faint Aquarian energies began to manifest themselves. Much of the unrest and uncertainty in the world today is due to this overlapping of these great energies, which stimulate all living entities to action. And by it, man's intellectual development has been forced to a point where he has wrestled secrets from nature, which may be dangerously misused. It is most important, therefore, that man now learns to react to a higher sense of values, even at the cost of the temporary pain to himself. Plato has said that the world of ideas rules the world of action. During the past 2,000 years, Piscean energies have been molding man's ideas, and today these ideas still rule the acts of the majority of men. Now these Piscean ideas have become crystallized and we are ready for destruction. The incoming Aquarian forces will accomplish this, but not without pain or shock. There are certain great Piscean ideas which are fast losing their control of the minds of men. This may surprise some because they are unquestionably a fixed part of the inner consciousness of most of us. The ideal of authority, for instance. Does that mean we should question authority? Yes, of course. Not in the physical sense, but in the mental. We are not opposed to the stated law of the land, but in the world of ideas, we are to accept no man as right because of authority. In the Aquarian Age, each man must learn to become an authority unto himself. The deep-rooted acceptance of authority by most of mankind has led to the imposition of paternalism in all spheres of human activity: educational, social, political, religious, and scientific. You know how entrenched authority has for years insisted on channeling our scientific progress in one direction only, never permitting its investigators to open the door invitingly held ajar by the Rosicrucian order and other mystical groups. Yet occult knowledge is part of the encyclopedia of human information and deserves the same attention and careful scientific study as biology or chemistry. You are aware of the tendency to glorify authority in the churches and world religion. This must be done, they say, because it is so written, or that it is forbidden by our law. The Piscean idea of authority is that man must be told what to do because he is incapable of thinking for himself. In the Aquarian cycle, every man will have to think for himself because eventually there will only be gods to advise and no defined leaders to command. The day of authority is fast coming to an end, but evidence of it will probably still exist many hundreds of years hence. You will recall we are told in our monographs not to accept anything on authority. Base each decision, particularly decisions having to do with your lessons, upon your own reasoning, on your own good judgment. Another great Piscean idea which must go is the idea that sorrow or suffering has value in itself. It is amazing how many people the world over are willing to accept suffering, seek it out in fact, on the theory that to suffer is our lot here on earth and that our rewards come later in heaven. This attitude does nothing to eliminate human misery, and it is time we set aside and strove cooperatively to improve conditions for humanity throughout the world. This is a labor of love which can be started right in your own community. It is not necessary that human beings be miserable. Do not accept this idea. but set about changing this condition to the best of your ability. But probably the most far-reaching of all Piscean ideas is the idea of the importance of material things. Pisces is a water sign and stimulates emotional activity. The rise in importance of material during the Piscean age is closely tied in with the satisfaction of desire. By advertising and salesmanship, the desires of the people have been whetted. More and more material things have become necessary to our living. Luxuries of yesterday are now absolute necessities. This has unnecessarily complicated our existence, and we find ourselves no happier because of it. It is important that we set about returning to a more simple life. This will take thought and planning. In its lower manifestation, the desire for possessions lead to aggressiveness and the seizing of the objects desired. As you can see, this displays itself on all levels, from the individual right on up to the national, and is responsible for much of the world anguish today. But if you regard with concern the pain incident to the destruction of these other Piscean ideas, rejoice then that with the waning of Pisces, the new energies of Aquarius will manifest more and more. It is inevitable that Aquarius will stimulate and condition all facets of human existence in its own way, just as Pisces has done. This will bring about changes in our economic, social, artistic, and scientific thinking. It will result in changes in the forms of government, education, and economy. These changes are inevitable. They are coming as surely as tomorrow's sun. Depend on them in these days when fear is again being stirred up and old antagonisms fanned to flame. Aquarian energies are pouring with every increasing potency into the hearts of men. They will bring about changes in all countries. The childish desires for material improvement at the expense of others, for expansion by acquisition, now so threateningly manifested by some of our national neighbors, will gradually dissipate themselves and finally disappear. Count on this and pray that our own rulers be temperate and stay their hands when tempted to attack. International consciousness is being manifested by the people of this country and a few other countries. It stands out in bold relief against the extreme nationalism of the less advanced countries, and is a most hopeful sign, pointing as it does the way to worldwide brotherhood. One of the significant evidences of this expanding consciousness is our willingness to share our wealth with our less fortunate neighbors. Of course, it is quite true that in the case of many individuals, this willingness to share is purely selfish. Some see it as an opportunity for personal gain, others as moved by fear, but the fact remains that actual sharing is taking place on a national scale, and this is the first significant evidence of the unifying energy of Aquarius, which will eventually make this whole world one. Now right here is a point on which many fall into error, because world unity is desirable and inevitably certain ones argue that any means of achieving this end is justifiable. So argued Hitler. And who knows, but what Stalin may also be justifying his actions by this same sophistication. But the error here is that no union by force can exist in the Aquarian age. Union by force is strictly Piscean, the last flare-up of Piscean energy before it dies out. Symbolically is the fisherman capturing the fish in his net. The fisherman is all-powerful. The fish have no choice. In the days to come, Aquarian energy will bring about a world state in which the individual citizen will gladly and deliberately subordinate his own personal desires to the good of the whole. This will be a voluntary union, not a forced union. Therein lies the basic and all-important difference. There are many evidences of the effect. Working of Aquarian energy. The existence of our own Rosicrucian order in its present form is a powerful example. The growth of organized brotherhoods and fraternal organizations, of groups dedicated to some cause or idea, of the multi-party system in government, all are indications of the activity of this new incoming energy. In order to make this still clearer, let us draw a few contrasts. In the world of business, the tycoon is Piscean, and the cooperative group Aquarian, with the cooperation bridge between. In cooperative sports, all team play, such as baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, is Aquarian, while those sports where individuals compete against each other, such as boxing, wrestling, fencing, etc., are Piscean. One outstanding example here is golf. Golf is actually not a competitive sport, although present-day tendencies have put plenty of competition into it. Basically, golf is a striving for perfection, and any golfer will attest to the satisfaction derived from the perfect execution of a shot. As such, therefore, golf is Aquarian and a game of the future. Probably the most significant difference in the action of Piscean and Aquarian energy may be seen in their effect on the individual. Pisces is a dual sign and permits a double range of activity. Now this can be most beneficial, but in most cases it is not, because the individual sets up dual standards. We see therefore the Piscean man of high ideals acting in a most unworthy manner, apparently with no connection between his ideas and his conduct. The last example is a small storekeeper who is an elder in the church, sits in the first pew every Sunday and gives dishonest weight all week. The Aquarian man cannot do this. He may be dishonest, but he is not equipped for the bland display of virtue which comes so easily to his Piscean brother. For this reason, individuals coming more and more under the influence of Aquarius will forsake hypocrisy and face themselves and their problems squarely and honestly. It is one of the duties of the Aquarian man in days to come to integrate the great ideals of the Piscean age with the average day-to-day living of the human race. In a word, to materialize these ideals and bring them into physical manifestation. As the days move on into years and the waning Piscean influence gradually disappears, the future will brighten. Look towards the future. Turn your faces from the dark, ugly past. Forget the antagonisms of yesterday and look to tomorrow, when all the world will live and grow in brotherhood. Fear not for the present, but wait expectantly the good influences Aquarius brings tomorrow. The Lord himself hastens, and his banner is ready above the mountains. Watch you and pray. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.